Varsity Media is the tri-state area's leader in sports media production. We specialize in live streaming.
Gargiulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. And Ciolino. See you later. Touchdown, Massapequa.
Videography. And photography. Covering all sports at all levels. We feature aerial photography and videography, college recruiting videos, live streaming of games.
Top of the key, Smith. Why not? Wow. Bang. McKee, first down and more. Charlie McKee. Touchdown, Oceanside.
School events, graduations. Varsity Media is available to cover a game, a tournament, a season, or any special event.
Talk to us a little bit about what went through your mind, how you prepared for that to run such a fast speed.
Currently, spectators are limited at events. Let Varsity Media bring the event to your fans. Contact Varsity Media today for more information. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone 516-403-2050.
We welcome you to West Islip High School, where this afternoon the Varsity Media Sports Network presents this Suffolk Division II showdown between the host Lions of West Islip, coming in at a 5-2 record, against the visitors from Bayport Blue Point, the Phantoms, coming in at 6-1. Good afternoon, everyone. Dylan Butler here with the head coach of Farmingdale High School, Mike Hungerford. And Mike, certainly when you look at the way Suffolk Division II is situated right now, you've got Mount Sinai with Joey Spallina and all those studs right now, clearly number one. You've got Shoreham Wading River right behind them at 2, but then these two teams are right in a mix, kind of for third place right there. So that makes this one really an important game for both teams.
Yeah, Division II in Suffolk, they have a mix of B and C schools playing during the regular season. B, C's, and D's actually all playing in the regular season. And there's some really good games. And right here today, you have Bayport Blue Point's is a C school. And West Islip now, traditionally an A powerhouse for many years, is now in the B's. And should be a great battle for a little momentum heading into the back half of the season.
Bayport Blue Point coming in off of 2 emotional wins, a rivalry win against Sayville, a 9-8 overtime victory there, and then a big 11-8 win at West Hampton. The guy who kind of leads the way for Bayport Blue Point, the driver of the bus a little bit, is number 27, Jamison Smith. He is our impact player for Bayport. He's a junior bound for Johns Hopkins, an honorable mention to All-County as a freshman. This kid is a stud, really does everything for this Bayport Blue Point team. 12 goals, 21 assists already on the season.
Yeah, very good player, Jamison Smith. I'm very excited to see him play. I have not seen him play in person since I saw him in Youth Lacrosse Club a few years ago, and people talk a lot about him, and I like to see him. He's gotten a lot bigger and a lot stronger, and he's got great, you see his assist numbers, got great field vision.
For West Islip, coming in off a 15-5 loss to Mount Sinai, so they're looking to bounce back, and the guy that will help lead them, or they hope would lead them in this one, is Ryan Behrens, a senior, 15 goals, 7 assists on the year, also a high-level Division I player, going to Brown.
Yeah, Ryan Behrens is certainly with him and Joey Constantino as well. Kind of a good combo there for Coach Corcoran's team at the first midfield, and they're going to get a lot of run today. And I think Behrens is going to kind of lead the way with his energy and his ability. And we're going to see how the Bayport guys defend those two guys in the midfield. Will determine a lot about how the game's going to go.
Mike, let's take a look at the starting lineups. First for the visitors from Bayport, Blue Point. And again, the Phantoms come in with a 6-1 mark. A very talented squad here. You've got Foley, Krug, and Morris up front. Morris, just a freshman, has 13 goals on the year there. That first midfield line, their head coach Doug Meehan thinks maybe the best on Long Island with Smith, Aiello, and Lacasio. In the D, you've got Katsalis, Henke, Druckenmiller, and in goal is Matty Nyland, who's kind of got hot. They've rotated a little bit with Nyland and Eric Grand, but Nyland has gotten hot for them. For West Islip, we flip the page here, and also a very talented group as well. Up front, you've got Tommy Corcoran, the head coach's son, with Parker Riley, Lucas Brophy, a first midfield line. You mentioned Behrens. You said Joey Constantino as well, the Fairfield commit. Nico Severino is your first line middies. On D, you've got PJ McGoldrick, Chase Casignow, Danny Backerty, and in goal, it's Johnny Basili for the Lions. The head coaches in this one for Bayport, it's Doug Meehan in his third year out of Sayville, 2009 graduate, so one of the younger head coaches in these ranks. And the head coach for West Islip, he was waiting for his chance to come home. It's Tom Corcoran in his third year, a 1986 graduate of West Islip High School. Bounced around a lot. You know him well from his days as an assistant at Farmingdale Lacrosse and football for 15 years. Was a head coach at West Babylon for 3 years. Was an apprentice under the great Scotty Craig, who is in the house here today. And it's proof, Mike, I guess you can, in fact, go home again.
You certainly can. And it's always great to get to coach where you played, and I think there's a different mindset when you're a coach from where you went to high school, and you approach things a little differently.
So we just saw from the faceoff X, it's C.J. Schwartz for West Islip, and it's J.J. Aiello for Bayport. There'll be a mix here for Bayport. Likely, though, Schwartz will be the guy for the Lions as they work the ball around the perimeter on their first possession. Schwartz, a sophomore, a true Fogo. And you saw Brophy there pumping the brakes as he got sealed off. Overhand shot, good save. The first shot was taken there by Riley, and a good-looking save by Nyland.
Yeah, now makes a nice one there, but they came at Bayport. Blue Point comes out in zone, not playing the ball behind the goal. A little different look. Some zones do, some zones don't. And, the Lions will have to settle in and see what they have here, for zone offense. And look at this.
Matty Nyland has got a lane. Nyland to the net. Nyland's off the post. Nearly had our first goalie goal. Nyland, Mike, is team chaos. He loves to get up and down, come out of his crease, and now he's got to hustle back. It's an empty net. Bouncer is wide of the mark by Constantino.
Crazy setting right there. Crazy scene of events right there. They had a match feet ride a little bit when they left the goalie open, and he got to go all the way to the face of the goal and hit the pipe or hit the goalie. I'm not sure which happened there. It bounced back, and I think it was Constantino tried to the open net and just missed. But West Ice was able to retain possession.
The funny thing is, Meehan says you'll see a lot of unorthodox things out of Nyland, and you would think they would get burned by some of them, but it doesn't happen as often as you would think. In a game against Mount Sinai, he was the guy coming out and defending Joey Spallina, the best junior in the country. Bouncer was wide. It's picked up, though. Goal line extended. Turning there was Brophy. But Meehan says, look, we just let him go. We're not going to yell at him. He finds a way to get back and really not get burned by those situations. And we just saw that firsthand here.
Yeah, he was able to get back. He kind of bought one, used the bullet in the gun there a little bit, you might want to say, in terms of being able to get back. And I think somewhere in that ride, someone was probably supposed to chase the goalie from behind or jump the goalie, and I think there'll be some adjustment made by Coach Corcoran how that goes. And I think West Side was taking a little bit of a timeout with the zone and kind of want to get organized a little bit.
Yeah, most teams obviously come out and man, we don't see zone a lot, although I would expect to maybe see a little more from both of these teams just to conserve energy, right? We'll keep it here. We'll take a look at some of the things we built here. How about the schedules here for each team? We mentioned the previous games. You've got Mount Sinai coming off that win against West Islip, 15-5, and then Bayport Blue Point coming off. We mentioned that emotional win over West Hampton, 11-8. In that one, Morris with 4 goals, Smith 2 goals and 3 assists. And here you see the upcoming schedule for Bayport Blue Point. You kind of circle that Comsawa game. Actually, first you got to circle that Shoreham Wading River game. But those are the 2 kind of key games left for the Phantoms in their schedule. And again, they're kind of looking to chase the Shoreham Wading River. They lost a relatively tight one to Mount Sinai, 8-3. But it was only a two-goal game in the first half. Both teams losing to Mount Sinai. Here's what's left for the Lions of West Islip, and some difficult games there too. But again, you kind of circle that last one, right? That Comsawa game is a big one for them. Speaking of Tom Corcoran leading into this game, he said, look, he doesn't think anyone's beaten Mount Sinai this year, certainly not in the regular season. So you have both teams losing to them, right? So that's fine. So now it's about that. That's what makes this game so important, he said, just because, you know, you're fighting the likes of, well, Shoreham, he figures, is the 2, but then there's like a mix of teams with a Comsawa, a Harborfields, Bayport Blue Point. So he figures, you know, West Islip's also right in that mix.
Sure, they certainly are, and we'll talk a little more about that, Dylan, in the next break. A little bit here, we see West Islip's come out. A little 2-2-2 set here, maybe a little 2-4 coming out of the rolling a guy up here, trying to get some movement, some people movement.
Step down shot and a goal. Brophy gets the feed from Corcoran and rips it from distance. His 8th of the year.
Yeah, a little bit of a zone buster right there. They came out and they changed the set a little bit and moved a little bit of ball, not a lot of people movement yet, but a little bit of ball movement, stepping in between defenders right there. Brophy comes in between. You can see he steps down and steps in between 2 zone guys right there, right, kind of getting the seams a little bit. And a nice hard shot from the outside finds the net.
He even had the chance to take that extra step, right?
Sure,
Where usually you see the first step, but then he took the extra one as well.
Sure, a little crow hop and a jump, and that's certainly going to make you'll see if that trend continues. The Bayport Blue Point coach has to make some adjustments possibly in how they're playing the edges of that zone.
So it's Aiello in the dark jersey, and again it's Schwartz.
Good matchup with 2 sophomores here facing off. C.J. Schwartz, very good sophomore, and J.J. Aiello, one of the better players in his age group on Long Island.
Yeah, Aiello not a Fogo. He's obviously, we're seeing him on this first midfield line as well. Another win for Schwartz. And West Islip gets to continue their offense. The only foray into the offensive side that we've seen from Bayport to this point was from Maddie Island, their goalie, on that long run upfield.
C.J. Schwartz has the ability at times to really dominate the competition, and right there he's 2 for 2, and really giving West Islip some possession time here early. Try to get comfortable against his zone.
Aiello, as you mentioned, is a guy that a lot of people on Long Island know. There's a look inside and the finish by Constantino. The Fairfield commit gets his 10th of the year.
Yeah, nice little ball movement up top with their 3-man top, and they get Constantino inside on one of those circular cuts with left hand. It puts the ball low and away for a nice goal.
We'll take another look. You see the movement.
It was key to playing against zones is try to find those seams, Dylan, those spaces in between where rotating defenders will have to go up and back or left and right, side to side. And it's not natural for kids. Zone offense is not always easy for kids. Obviously, skills are important and having some lacrosse IQ. But it can be tough playing against zones. And they got a zone buster on the first goal.
And another face-off win. That's Conrad McChaney coming away with it, part of that second midfield line. Now, this line here for West Islip, this is more of your ball control kind of guys where they're going to move it around, give that first midfield line a bit of a breather. But of these 3, it's Esposito, McChaney, and Sonati. Esposito, more of the scorer. McChaney's been great, 4 assists, kind of leading the way. They thought perhaps he would be a guy who would be on the first midfield.
Yeah, Coach Corker has mentioned with the first midfield place. He's been logging a lot of time, especially this week. It's the 3rd game of the week, and using the second midfield to try to get some rest here to the first guys. And I think it's helping that they're playing zone because they're not really playing the ball really that hard, and you kind of can hold it a little bit and manipulate stuff through sets.
Low shot by Corcoran. And yes, by the way, that is the son of head coach Tom Corcoran. He said that was a great, a pleasant surprise almost for him, where his son, 33, you see there, working it from X. He was a guy who was a lacrosse guy, obviously growing up, younger days, was a lacrosse player as a sophomore, also a wrestler, kind of went to full-time wrestling last year. And then now with the wrestling season done, he said, I might as well go back to lacrosse. And a timeout called by Bayport Blue Point, and we'll take a quick break with them as well. 6:51 left here in the first quarter. West Islip has raced out to a 2-0 lead. You're watching this Suffolk Division II showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Are you settling for a boring live stream? Can't see the players' uniforms? No audio? Camera not following the action? Consider a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Our announcers help tell the story of your game.
McCarthy. He's got. Oh, he's in. Touchdown, Farmingdale.
We feature multiple camera angles, guaranteed to capture all the action.
Touchdown, Oceanside.
Plus added features like graphics, instant replay.
Yeah, the shooters are going to shoot here at Bethpage. One of many threes on the day.
Interviews, and more. It's your time to shine. And with Varsity Media, now you can. Contact us today and book a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone 516-403-2050.
We welcome you back to West Islip. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford. There's the Bayport Blue Point huddle. And here's a little look at the tail of the tape coming in. Bayport 6-1 record, scoring, West Islip scoring about a little more than a goal a game per than Bayport. Bayport on the other side conceding a little bit less, 6.3. So speaks to what we thought would be, certainly, and we still think it will be a close matchup. Statistically so far in this one, obviously with the possession being what it's been, shots dominating by West Islip 6-1 off those 3 face-off wins. Finally, Bayport Blue Point get in on the offensive side, and we get a first look at this terrific midfield unit of Smith, Aiello, and Lacasio. And by the way, not to downgrade their attackmen, it's Foley, Krug, and Morris. Again, Morris just a freshman. Krug bound for St. John's. Pass on the turf. Battle for the ground ball. It's scooped up there by Krug. And that's a big part of his game. A scrappy attackman, loves to do a lot of that dirty work.
I think right now, Dylan, it's Bayport trying to take a little time off the clock here. They played defense for the majority of the quarter. These shots, 6-1, I think, shots favoring West Islip. So they're trying to eat a little time here. Now they're going to play a little offense right here.
Lacasio gets the inside seam and finishes. Gavin Lacasio, the UMass-bound junior, with his 14th of the year.
Yeah, you can see there, Dylan, they set up a little two-man game on the low wing. And I think the West Islip defense was kind of thinking that Lacasio had the ball, but I think he was going to come over that pick. And obviously he didn't use the pick. He kind of came underneath it, stepped under it, and there was no help there. And was able to get to the front of the cage and score a nice goal.
So a timeout by West Islip, which speaks again to how important both of these teams believe this game to be. We've already seen, 3 timeouts in the first few minutes of this one. When you look at Bayport Blue Point, here's the standings you were mentioning before. So this is Division II. As you mentioned, in the postseason, you kind of break this up and you go in different directions in B, C. But you can see Mount Sinai with Spalina leading the way. They're undefeated. Comsoag and Shoreham and Bayport right there below them. And then you've got that mix there of Harborfield, West Islip, Hauppauge, and East Islip. So you kind of look at those top 6, and then there's a drop. But it's about, kind of who could be 2, who could be 3. Mount Sinai, we mentioned with Spalina, Shoreham, Wading River with the Schwartz twins going to North Carolina. They've obviously, under Mike Taylor, have built up a tremendous team. In fact, when our last full season of lacrosse, they were the state champions in C. So these two teams certainly have high aspirations in the postseason. And off air, we were talking about it. You would argue a more difficult road for a Bayport Blue Point when you come to postseason lacrosse, maybe than West Islip, just because, again, you've got that murderer's row, a little bit of Mount Sinai and Shoreham Wading River that you're battling with.
Sure. I mean, in the C classification, Mount Sinai and Shoreham Wading River are probably two of the very best public school teams in the state of New York, regardless of classification. And you have to go up to head-to-head with them. And you know, depending where you get seated, maybe you find a way to get an upset and get to the final. And you never know if you beat Blue Point.
Don't let Keith Cromwell hear that, by the way, because obviously now Manhasset in Nassau, right? They're in C, and you've got Cold Spring Harbor. So, look, we're going to have a Long Island Championship. It's been announced, and not to get too far ahead, but you could have an unbelievable matchup here, which will ultimately that'll be the final championship. There's no states this year, so big ground ball by Smith. And that's a little bit, too, of what you get from Jamison, where, look, we all know about his offensive ability, but it's a lot of the other things that make him a special future Division I player, where he wins the ground balls on the wings. He'll track back defensively. They don't really use like a short stick D-midi, or like the guys who are on the midfield line, they're playing defense as well.
Sure, that'll help them get in the hole. I mean, you're talking about goals allowed per game. Their goals allowed per game is a relatively low number considering that competition they play against. And, you know, they get in the hole, play some zone, right, and don't have to get guys on and off the field. And, you know, the challenge for West Islip will be, it looked like Schwartz had pulled the ball out forward a little bit, and it just kind of popped to Smith a little bit. Nice play. And now they're trying to, obviously, work their offense here and see if they're going to. Looks like West High might be playing a little zone too.
Yeah, not surprised necessarily to see it again, because both teams don't really utilize a lot of bench players, right? And it's a hot day. The schedule being what it is, you're kind of playing every other day. So here's Smith with a little shimmy, draws the double, and he loses it. Great defensive play by Behrens, our two impact players going at each other.
Yeah, nice play by Ryan Behrens. I think James Smith just kind of dropped the ball there more than anything else. I think there was a little check on him, but here comes Behrens.
Behrens, the bouncer. And how about that for end-to-end from Behrens, huh? He gets the caused turnover, gets the ground ball, beats his man, and then finishes.
Sometimes when you play against zone teams, right, like Dylan, one of the things you say is you try to get into your offense or run some offense before they get into the defense settled in. And right there, Behrens sort of, got going a little early offense and got a step on his man underneath. It was a little bit of the defender there was chasing his stick, maybe a little bit too much, and he was able to step under him and get a good shot for a goal. And that's a nice change for the Lions, because they were able to get a goal before the Bayport guys packed into that defense.
Tom Corcoran says Behrens routinely is the fastest guy on the field. Speaking of fast, Schwartz went a little bit too fast on that face-off, so Bayport Blue Point back on attack. That's Lacasio handing off. We mentioned before, UMass guy, Meehan calls him the workhorse of this team, but there is the guy they ride.
Sure, legacy guy. His father, one of the very best guys ever to play the sport. Right, his dad.
Sal Lacasio, one of the best goalies.
Maybe the best goalie of all time, and you can debate a lot of things, but certainly on a very, very short list. If you made Mount Rushmore of goalies, he's on the Mount Rushmore, and a great player, and his son's a very good player in his own right.
That's the interesting thing here too, is we're seeing a lot of coaches, or even, as you mentioned, sons of former greats as well on both of these teams. And also that speaks to the lacrosse IQ from a lot of these guys.
Sure, generally speaking, coaches' kids tend to be, whether they're athletic or have the great athleticism out, they tend to have a pretty good lacrosse IQ or a good mind for the sport.
You've got that with Aiello, obviously, as well, number 3, who just ran off and has to switch his stick.
Yep, got his face-off stick, got to run off, and I think the West Side guys were trying to get Schwartz to match feet with him, and they couldn't get there. And Aiello switches and gets his offensive stick now. So the rule is, Dylan, in case anybody wants to know out there, you have to actually leave the field of play and get your stick handed to you to make a stick switch like that. It can't be done on the field or thrown on or off or anything. So we had to come all the way off and get back on.
Yeah, I think you go back a few years, and I think Cold Spring Harbor, the face-off guy who was on their first midfield, his name is escaping me right now, Licciardi.
Matt Licciardi, yes, I was very lucky enough to be an assistant coach
for
on
sure.
those teams.
And I feel like almost he made that an art. Like we were following him with the camera from the face-off X, and he'd win the face-off, generally speaking, clean. And then next thing he's running back, and one of you guys on the staff is handing him his regular stick. Good look inside, and that's off the pipe, I think.
Great look by Jamison Smith. He either got the part of the pipe or the goalie got a little piece of it. Either way, it's back West Islip fast right now.
McColdrick with the clear, and Barron's the bouncer wide.
That was just wide. That's a great take right there.
You
can
see it
see
again
here
off
Smith's kind of looking inside, and the bottom righty there kind of shifted himself into the crease and was open.
So a first quarter that's been really all West Islip, right? I mean, dominating possession. You've got a couple stops, maybe a pipe as well.
It's just unlucky there by just a little, unlucky there by the Bayport guys. They didn't get a goal there, but they got to weather the storm here, down 3-1. And try to knock it down 4-1 here.
Barons operates from X, and he gets his pass intercepted. And there is Aiello. Aiello lowers the shoulder, stays in.
He's a big boy, Aiello. He's a load, and he's that left-handed. He'll drop that shoulder and that helmet, and he goes pretty hard. I know he's trying to come back from the knee injury he had in football, and he's got some setbacks. But when he's healthy, J.J. Aiello, one of the very best 2023 midfielders anywhere.
Yeah, that was noticed back a couple years ago in the last full season of lacrosse when, as an 8th grader, he had 17 goals and 13 assists. He's a kid he's a lefty. He shoots like 95 miles an hour, has a ridiculous shot. So kind of the book is that he's a big shooter, right? But he's kind of become this complete player, and it's another reason why a lot of college coaches are really interested in Aiello.
Sure, I mean, like right now, he's not really a face-off guy by trade, but he obviously can do it, and they need somebody, and he's the guy.
Smith having all kinds of issues with Backerty there. And Backerty really impacting that shot. Got in on his hands. The backup was there, though, so Bayport Blue Point maintains possession. 23 seconds left in this first quarter.
Yeah, James and Smith back, he was able to keep him at the head of his stick, right, and keep distance and harass his hands a little bit. And as that ball went out of bounds, the West Islip guys were able to sub their pole on. They had 3 short sticks on. They were able to sub their pole onto the field. So that's a little break for them. The Lions here with 17 seconds to go. With the short clock, we'll see what Bayport brings out here.
Kind of figured coming in, we might have seen Delapizzi on Smith. Final few seconds here. Look inside, unable to collect that ball was Lacasio, and that does it for the first quarter. So a low-scoring one, but it's been these Lions right here who have dominated it really on both sides of the field. They lead it 3-1. You're watching this Suffolk Division II showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Are you settling for a boring live stream? Can't see the players' uniforms? No audio? Camera not following the action? Consider a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Our announcers help tell the story of your game.
That was McCarthy. He's got up. He's in. Touchdown, Farmingdale.
We feature multiple camera angles, guaranteed to capture all the action.
Touchdown, Oceanside.
Plus added features like graphics, instant replay.
Yeah, the shooters are going to shoot here at Bethpage, and one of many threes on the day.
Interviews, and more. It's your time to shine. And with Varsity Media, now you can. Contact us today and book a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media online at varsitymedia.net or by phone 516-403-2050.
We welcome you back to West Islip High School. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford here. Some first quarter stats for you from the great Joe Giannotti. And you see the goals. We knew that 3-1. The faceoffs even out a little bit. First 3 faceoffs went to West Islip. Shots, you can see right there too, Mike. 7-2 in favor of the Lions. Both teams with a turnover and both teams with a save. So the number difference there, of course, is in 5 more shots for West Islip. We don't have a time of possession there, but you would certainly say that was heavily tilted for the Lions.
Definitely in the first half of the quarter, it was heavily tilted in West Islip's favor. In the back half, I think the West Islip guys are kind of not letting the Bayport guys kind of just stand around. They're making them, they're defending them a little bit more closely, and obviously with less guys on the team and both teams playing a few less people, trying to force the issue a little bit. And I think the turnover, everything kind of relatively equal, except that in the scheme of things, a few more shots, and they got 2 more shots to fall so far, West Islip. I don't think Bayport's had really, had a couple in-tight looks, but haven't had a couple hands-free, real good looks to cage what West Islip has had so far.
We mentioned it off air during our commercial break, but the weather is a factor here, and it will be kind of continuing on. And again, this is a little bit of that part of that difference that you have this year, where the season starts significantly later than usual. Usually you're kind of getting some informal practices or practice starting late February, and then you're getting to go in March. Now, at this point of the year, usually if you're playing, that means you're having a really good season because you're deep in your playoffs, getting ready for potentially winning a county or a Long Island championship. So on top of that, you're playing, both teams here are playing their 3rd game of the week. So you kind of put those together, the weather, the small rosters, the number of games. It's no surprise. Certainly we're going to see some zone defense and some, as much as you can, trying to conserve some energy.
No doubt, Dylan. You got a 3rd game of the week for West Side. So I'm not sure if Bayport's on their 2nd or 3rd, might be 3rd as well. And it's tough. I saw some guys getting stretched out of the sideline between the quarters. This is one of the first really, I would say, warm days of the season, and a little humidity too.
Again, some quick movement there.
A little procedure call against Bayport right there. Schwartz gets that win, and they're able to play some more offense. See what West Islip comes out with here. Circle it up, spin the ball a little bit probably, and work into a set.
They push it back. There's one of your goal scorers to this point, Joey Constantino, 44.
Great football year for Joey Constantino, right, for the West Side Lions. Energy guy, man. It's fun to watch. Great guy to watch.
Corcoran says it right away. He is the best. There's not even a question. The best athlete in the school. Quarterback. Then he stays on as a linebacker, makes like every other tackle. So he never left the field for a team that went on and won a county championship.
Yeah, very, very good player at everything he does. A little action coming here.
A lot of off-ball movement right now. They work it back to X to Behrens. Plays catch with Corcoran up top. Overhand shot and a goal. Parker Riley, his 21st of the year.
Good overhand shot right there. Textbook release and find the corner right there. And I think just in the set change, they're just manipulating. They're working the ball from behind with Behrens. And they go into that low lefty corner. And just kind of like a pretty easy, step down, overhand. And they're a little late getting that Bayport, it looks like. Off the set change by West Islip, changing formations.
This speaks a little bit to what Corcoran was saying about his team. One of the strengths he thought was the balance in scoring, right? So if you look at kind of the stat sheet now, you've got 4 different goal scorers right now for your 4 goals.
Sure, good to spread the wealth around a little bit. Offensively, if you have a good team, it's not important, who scores as long as we all score, right?
And Corcoran, he came in with 15 and 12. He's got 2 assists now, so he's an assist away from being a 15-15 guy, which is really impressive this early in the season.
Well, problem going here, I would say early on, if your Bayport Blue Point is the time possession, right? The face-off thing is really leaning heavily in West Islip's favor, with Schwartz doing a great job at the X, and and they're able to manipulate the ball here and playing a lot of defense if you're Bayport Blue Point.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why, too, if you're West Islip, you're not going to be in a hurry, right? You want to move the ball around. It takes so much more energy to defend than it does to attack.
Sure, and that's why you can see even Bayport trying to conserve a little energy in the zone, kind of sitting in a little bit and conceding ball pressure right now, just to conserve a little energy.
Barron's a little bit of a ball fake, draws the quick double and kicks it back out. And when you've got no shot clock in high school, and certainly that's a hot debate, but there is no shot clock, so you can do things like this. Obviously, you'll get a stall warning at some point, but you don't have like an 80-second window to have to get a shot off.
Well, and then the interesting thing, Dylan, is when people play zone, the officials are very much more lenient about putting a stall on because you're manipulating the ball against the zone.
And that little double of a look there where the slide came affected things, but good job out by midfield for the West Islip guys to keep this possession going.
Yeah, Kasich now looked like he might have put his stick over the line. The West Islip defenders are long, rangy guys, and they're able to keep the ball on the offensive half.
Barron's goes into the teeth of the Bayport Blue Point defense, and look at this, another ground ball. This is Brophy. So even when it looked like Bayport Blue Point, they did everything right, then it's Brophy who comes and gets the GB.
Sure, just couldn't get this. Kind of all going West Islip's way right now with a lot of little parts of the game, right? Ground balls, They had an inadvertent pass there by West Islip. It could have gone over the 50 and would have been an over and back and given the ball to Bayport, but they were able to keep it on the offensive half. So
they're dominating the face-offs.
Yep. Bayport's got to weather the storm here and get a stop.
It's that whole menu, right, for a successful run. Inside look there by Corcoran and just lost it at the last second.
Great underneath dodge. Little foot up the field and taking it underneath, little S underneath, and just couldn't finish.
So now if you're on attack, right, here's the thing that's interesting if you're Bayport Blue Point. The mindset, right, if you're a player, is we need to get it back right away, but you can't because, again, it's the heat, it's the humidity, and these are guys who are staying on playing defense as well. Sorry, Mike, and you want to get your defensive guys a little bit of a rest too.
Sure, you got to rest your guys a little bit. But we said, Dylan, we were at we were at Garden City, Manhasset last week, and we talked about Garden City fell behind pretty far. And one thing I kept reiterating was there's no 4-point goal. You're not going to tie the game. There's no 3-point goal. You got to play one possession at a time and try to creep back in the game. And actually, Garden City did a pretty good job of that for quite a while. And we'll see if Bayport can follow that same model and kind of creep back in a little bit.
There's Smith. Creeping out on him is Constantino. So you might think, oh, look, he's got the shorty, but that's not going to be for too long. Here he is again. Inside pass, picked off, ground ball, and again, it's Behrens. And watch Behrens accelerate. Good passing, pull, extra pass. Oh, what a look! And there's the finish. Did he stay out of the crease? He did.
Great transition offense right there by West Islip. The Bayport guys threw it inside, couldn't complete the pass. West Islip got it up and got over the top on the fast break. Great job to the point guy, down to the bottom. Textbook right there to the lefty for the finish. Fake high, shoot low, just like we talk about.
And Corcoran doing a good job just kind of tiptoeing that crease to make sure he didn't land in it. So he gets his first to go with his 2 assists, an assist to Brophy, and a big timeout here for Bayport Blue Point. It's 5-1, and they're kind of threatening here a little bit to get to this game kind of getting out of hand, especially if you're not winning the face-off. So the Phantoms looking to talk it over.
Yeah, the ground ball advantage right now to West Islip is tremendous right now, and I think you have to talk about that in the huddle. You have to talk about getting after the ground balls and being careful where you throw the ball, how you handle it, and those types of things.
10-2 is the edge in ground balls for West Islip. And as you mentioned, right, those seemingly small things really add up. There you see the edge, 10-2 in the ground balls for West Islip.
Pretty big advantage early in the game. 10-2 is a big spread, and really, sometimes the ground balls can be deceiving. if they happen around the face-off, right? You
Right.
know, and just getting possession. But the face-off balls, most of them have been right to the face-off guys, and those don't really count in the ground ball categories as much. So all the other peripheral ground balls in the offense, even the box, is dominated by West High.
Here's a look at some of our upcoming broadcasts for you, and we head back to Nassau County, and certainly big matchups there coming up. You can see them there. We will. We've got a big one midweek where we got that rivalry game with Locust Valley and Cold Spring Harbor. That should be a lot of fun. On Monday, we're out at Cary Garden City. That could be an interesting matchup as well.
Sure. Right now, Dylan, what you're starting to get in Nassau County is just we're kind of like a conference, a little bit like Suffolk, where it's A, B's, and C's mixed together. But now we're starting to get to where people in each classification are playing each other, where the playoff seeding will become important, and you're getting back to the most traditional rivalries, game in and game out.
I think I saw a Farmingdale game there against Syosset, huh? Is that coming up?
One day at a time, Dylan. One day at a time. We'll get ourselves there.
He's got his
yes,
coach's
it's on
hat
the
on
schedule.
now.
Yes, we'll go one day at a time.
Should be a fun one.
So right now we'll see Schwartz has been doing a pretty good job with the face-off. The Aiello's been taking a few, and it looks like they have a different man in there.
Yeah, you've got Downey, the long pole. And generally speaking, get a pole in there. This, his job is not to win it, but just to muck things up enough for the wings to come in.
Great term there, Dylan. We call that mucking it up all the time, and we'll see Schwartz with the exit. Yep, he does exactly that. He mucks it up a little bit.
Yeah, so Schwartz looked like he'd have a clean win, right? But then you get in on the stick.
Very unlucky there by Bayport Blue Point. They get the ball off in the box, and 22 there. Ben Morris just kind of gets the stick checked out of his hand. That's procedural because he's playing without a stick, and it's West Islip ball again.
It's kind of been that kind of a game, right? Did they get the timeout? Ref is like, calm down. We got the timeout. Of course, it was just as the ball was going out of bounds, but West Islip calls a timeout, and we'll take it with them as well. 6:42 left in this first half. West Islip leads Bayport Blue Point 5-1. You're watching this Suffolk Division II showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Now is the time to promote your business on our broadcasts.
Now Farmingdale will fire and find the back of the net.
Top of the key, 4-3, good.
With viewership in the thousands, your company will get the local attention it needs. Best of all, we offer affordable rates. High school sports online audiences are growing. Take advantage by advertising with Varsity Media.
Hands off, three-point shot is up and in. You back him back 3 yards, it doesn't matter. Touchdown, Freeport.
Contact us today, 516-403-2050, varsitymedia.net.
We welcome you back to West Islip High School. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford here. And we spoke about West Islip having a pretty balanced attack, and you could see it here as well, where Corcoran, coming into this game, led the way, right? 27 points, but right there with him is Parker Riley, and then Behrens and Constantino. And so those are your four main guys, but then Brophy's right behind them, Severino there as well, and you get the Poles as well with McColdrick with 6 points. So that's a little bit what Corcoran was saying, where you can't just sort of seal off one guy, right? It's not the Joey Spallina show or something like that. There's so many different guys who can impact the game on the offense.
It was certainly odd, Dylan. And you see, Tommy Corcoran, his son has a goal and 2 assists so far, and being the lefty guy, and maybe could have had a couple more points even already, and we'll see how it progresses.
Yeah, by the way, keeping that theme going, now that's 5 different goal scorers for West Islip.
That's very good spread in the offense. The ball's going different guys' sticks, and once again, if we don't care who scores, as long as we all score, it's a good thing. And usually that's a hallmark of pretty good teams and good programs when you have a depth of scoring like that.
No pressure on Nico Severino, number 13, but of that 3 attackmen and first midfield unit, he's the only guy to not have a goal yet. So I mean, his job is primarily kind of being that off-ball cutter and opening things up for other guys, but now that second midfield line coming on, it's McChaney, Sonati, and Esposito. So that's how things are rolling right now for West Islip, where you can give those first midfielders a rest. And by the way, we were corrected before. We did have some hydration breaks as well. So it's not we were kind of wondering how many timeouts are you given in this game, but some hydration breaks as well. The scoreboard lists Bayport still having one timeout remaining in this first half. Corcoran's pass intercepted. Good job by Downey getting a stick in the passing lane.
Yep, great interception by Downey, getting the ball back for the Bayport guys, and see if they can manipulate 5 minutes to go here in the first half, and see if they can manipulate something. They really haven't had a really great look at the goal in quite a while.
Downey is a guy who'll go to Hartwick next year. He got hurt against Rocky Point earlier in the year, and they told him you can return as long. It depends on how well you can tolerate the pain. It's not even a question of whether you'll be in pain, but how well can you tolerate it. And he's been battling. He's been fighting through. And there's a sidearm shot low to high. There's a bit of the response, and that's J.J. Aiello for Bayport Blue Point.
Great shot by J.J. Aiello. Once again, he kind of steps in between guys, and I didn't think the West Islip guy felt he was going to shoot it from there. He's outside the hash, but he has a great look between two defenders. And you can see that lefty heat he's got there, low to high, up the elevator there, to the corner. And great shot. You can see some of that offensive talent that Aiello possesses.
So Aiello, that's his third goal of the year. So you're like, how does he only have 3 goals? But you mentioned it before. Got his knee rolled up in football. But he's kind of slowly but surely coming back and getting himself. He's not 100% even yet, but he scored that game winner in that rivalry game against Sayville in overtime, and I hear a big goal as well for Bayport. Another
great
GB.
Great ground ball off the face-off.
That's Parker Riley. And loses it, picks it up again. Pole's really trying to affect things there. That was Cole Henke, number 8.
Tiptoes the sideline, stay in bounds. That's a great ground ball. A little bit more awareness there, maybe even the Bayport player was kind of, they've lost so much of his face-off. They were kind of in a fast break defense. Set up alignment, and all of a sudden he was able to be at the top of the box and a little unguarded for a second.
There's Brophy handing off. And again, just kind of around the horn a little bit here for West Islip. There's Corcoran. And up top is Behrens. Behrens lowers his shoulder, lowers the shot as well, and that bounced wide.
Almost looked like they were playing man there for a second. Bayport went switch to man, it looks like, because Behrens able to take it from that high corner and turn the corner and get a nice look. Just couldn't get it on cage.
Yeah, defended by Lacasio.
Definitely back in zone right now.
44 we saw there a second ago. That's Constantino. And now again, just playing catch behind the cage and out to Constantino, the Fairfield commit. 3 minutes left in this first half. West Islip a 5-2 lead.
Yeah, they're pretty content. West Islip with 5-2 to try to eat a little clock here and possess the ball. And the Bayport guys really aren't playing them too hard. So, when you're ahead, you kind of go with it.
Here's Behrens up top. Again, draws a shorty. Off the pipe. And another GB. Oh, and just Constantino was trying to get it back to Behrens, so he did everything right to get the ground ball, but then just the errant pass. We'll see, though, a little bit of a ride here from West Islip, and why not, right? Like, you want to affect things. One guy who really rides, I love the expression by Corcoran when he spoke about his son, Tommy, that he rides like his feet are on fire.
Sure, riding is a big part of the game, and, by the West Islip, if they want here, Good ride by West Islip. Bayport was able to get it across the midfield line, but they had a pole there, and they made him burn up that last time out. So, but getting back to to Corcoran's son, yeah, riding's a big part of the game. If you can get your attackmen to ride, and that's what you hang your hat on, it could be a big weapon. And we always say the defense starts on the ride, right? And you look at teams like the teams that are very good in college, North Carolina, Virginia, tremendous riding teams as well with their attack. Long Island Proc, Ian Laviano, right? Crazy riding guy over at Virginia. And
well, that's the funny thing. I had
that here as well.
I had that conversation, Mike, with Dennis Bond leading into their game against Sayville. And it's funny because, we watch all the broadcasts and they rave about Laviano riding at Virginia. And I'm like, we saw that for years at Cold Spring Harbor. That's the way. If you want to play at Cold Spring Harbor, if you want to be the guy to score the goals, you've got to do that off against the ball work. And the Seahawks traditionally have hung their hat on that aggressive ride, and we've seen it a bit from your squad as well at Farmingdale this year. And
you see it here from West Islip right here today. They do a good job. That was a well-coached ride. They executed what they wanted to get. They wanted to get the Bayport Blue Point defender to come over with the ball, to get lock off, and then play with the pole, and they were able to get it done. But Doug Meehan used his last time out to sort of keep possession right there.
So Meehan, there's a good look at him inside that huddle. His third year, a 2009 graduate of Sayville, spent a year as a Rocky Point assistant, 1 year as a JV coach at Bayport, 2 years as a Bayport assistant. The interesting thing here is he was an assistant to Mike Luce, who was the former head coach at Bayport Blue Point. Now he's got him on his staff as well. He's got Jet Aiello, who's JJ's dad. So he really loves this whole group that he has. And there's Tom Corcoran as well. We mentioned before, who did he apprentice under a little bit here at West Islip? Scotty Craig, who's watching the game from behind the West Islip bench, the great Scotty Craig. And that's the thing, too, with Corcoran, where he said, look, I wanted to be – when he left West Islip and he graduated high school, he said, his thought was he wanted to come back here. Obviously, you've got a legend in Scotty Craig as your head coach, so that opportunity didn't happen. And there also wasn't a phys ed job available in West Islip, so he bounced around as well, went to Farmingdale, and obviously you knew each other well from there, and again, was looking for opportunities, was at Hills West as an assistant under Gordy Hodgson, and again, looking, and he wanted to be a head coach, went to West Babylon, but you kind of have the sense, you know him certainly better than I, but you had the sense that this was where his heart was. And so when Scotty Craig said, listen, Corcoran was coaching West Babylon at the time, and Craig said to him, look, if you're interested, I'm going to be stepping down in a couple of years. So he came in, he said he had to kind of relearn the system at West Islip. It was so many years since he was part of it. But this is in his blood, and I always feel, and you're a great model of this as well. I always feel like it means more to guys who are coaching their alma mater.
It certainly does. It doesn't mean that if you're not, you can't have that same feeling, but it certainly means more to you, and there's a little different feel, and I think the kids understand that a little bit, and they know you're where they're from, and then the whole thing kind of ties together a little better. And you can see out of a timeout that the Bayport guys are kind of eating a little time, trying to get under a minute, and probably going to hold for one here, looks like, try to get to 5-3 as opposed to 6-2, right?
Smith thought about it, pops out, switches things around. You can make the argument as there's our first flag of the game, so a delayed penalty. You can make the argument, and now here's a question for you. With the dominance of the face-off X, do you just kind of let this go? You accept the 3-goal deficit for not having to take that first face-off of the third quarter?
I think you could do a little bit of both right now. I think you try to maybe get a shot.
And here it is, and it's a goal!
Yeah, see what happened there, Dylan, was the flag is down, so you're able to play through as long as you have possession, and they scored, but they're all going to have to face off here. My thought also was if you played through a little bit, you either got to hold it and then not face off, or maybe if you shot it and it didn't go in, you could then hold it. But great skip by Jamison Smith, and a really, really nice up top finish.
That was Lacasio. So his second goal. And we had a look quick. I'm not sure if you saw. I think it's a 1-minute penalty. Here's a look again at the infraction. Right there, you see a little bit of a high stick right to the face.
Yeah, it looked like Locascio. That might have been Locascio leaned in a little bit with the ball, and the West Side guy out his approach got his stick a little high, and two things met in the middle a little bit there. Certainly inadvertent, but the referee definitely felt it was egregious enough to throw a flag. And now we have 20 seconds. We have a man-down face-off here by West Islip, the pole and the face-off guy working together. And of course, they have the extra guy.
Good ground ball, but yard sale there by the West Islip bench as Smith was hacked and whacked and loses the ball.
Yeah, unfortunately, Bayport, Smith lost his feet there on the sidelines, and he lost his footing, and now we have 11 seconds here, and West Islip will obviously try to kill the clock.
Yeah, they're going to go nowhere. Maybe a shot at the buzzer, and there's Behrens.
Guy like Behrens, he can run it out easy. There you go.
And that's exactly what he does. So there'll still be a man up for Bayport Blue Point to start of the third quarter, and the hill maybe not as steep to climb here. It's 5-3 West Islip with the lead over Bayport Blue Point. You're watching this Suffolk Division II showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Varsity Media is the tri-state area's leader in sports media production. We specialize in live streaming.
Gargiulo over the middle. He's got a man. It's complete. And Ciolino. See you later. Touchdown, Massapequa.
Videography. And photography. Covering all sports at all. We feature aerial photography and videography, college recruiting video, live streaming of games.
Top of the key, Smith. Why not? Wow. Bang! McKee, first down and more! Charlie McKee! Touchdown, Oceanside!
School events, graduations. Varsity Media is available to cover a game, a tournament, a season, or any special event.
Talk to us a little bit about what went through your mind, how you prepared for that to run such a fast speed.
Currently, spectators are limited at events. Let Varsity Media bring the event to your fans. Contact Varsity Media today for more information. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone 516-403-2050. You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Are you settling for a boring live stream? Can't see the players' uniforms? No audio? Camera not following the action? Consider a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Our announcers help tell the story of your game.
Goes McCarthy. He's got up. He's in. Touchdown, Farmingdale.
We feature multiple camera angles, guaranteed to capture all the action.
Touchdown, Oceanside.
Plus added features like graphics, instant replay.
Yeah, the shooters are going to shoot here at Bethpage, and one of many threes on the day.
Interviews, and more. It's your time to shine. And with Varsity Media, now you can. Contact us today and book a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone 516-403-2050.
We welcome you back to West Islip. Second half just about set to start. It's West Islip and Bayport Blue Point in Suffolk Division 2. Dylan Butler and Mike Hungerford, and some first half stats for you here. And as we would think, kind of dominated, Mike, here by West Islip. Shots, you see, the edge for the Lions, 13-6. So the edge in faceoffs as well. But that bigger number, we spoke about it earlier as well, that 13-5 edge in ground balls. What you like to see as well, I guess any coach likes to see it, right, is the balanced scoring attack. 5 different players scoring for West Islip, and Tommy Corcoran kind of leading the way here with 1 goal and 2 assists for the Lions.
Yeah, I think you kind of see that West Islip's able to play a few more players and a few more guys getting on the field. Maybe they have a little bit more energy. The Bayport guys have a little smaller roster, and that may be a factor in some of the statistical situation, the ground balls or whatever. But the balls also it's bounced their way, but they've also made some plays, and right now it seems like West Islip should be ahead by a little more than 5-3. But I think that's what Coach Corcoran's talking about with his guys right now, about like, hey, let's come out here in this third quarter. They're going to start man down for about 40 seconds. They'll be man down. They have to manage this 40 seconds down a man, and then get back and try to build up this lead a little bit more, because they've certainly dominated play. You can see by the statistics.
Leading the way for Bayport Blue Point in that first half, Gavin Lacasio with 2 goals, J.J. Aiello with a goal. Jameson Smith, a guy who head coach Tom Corcoran was saying we've got to find a way to stop him. Well, they've done a pretty good job on Smith to this point. They've made it tough on him. They've been aggressive, and see a goalie change here as well for Bayport Blue Point. Matty Nyland was in the cage for the first half. Now, in a lot of games, or most of the season, the Phantoms have given this switch. This is Eric Gran, the sophomore. Now, what they have here is you've got a righty in Nyland, a lefty in Gran, so a different bit of a look there at face-off.
No face-off, Dylan.
No, I'm sorry. I meant to say to say a different look in the cage.
Oh, okay.
But yes, you're right. No face-off here with the man up, but a different look at the cage with Gran, and we weren't sure if we'd see the switch because Nyland has been dialed up in his last couple of games. Certainly, you can't say that he did anything wrong, but it's been a great competition, and even Doug Meehan said, look, last game, Gran was not happy to not have split the time, but you want him you don't want him to be happy, right? He's a competitor. You want to have him want to be on the field, and it was this funny situation, too, where there was a penalty against Nyland, and we spoke about his unorthodox ways, right? So now he's got to go serve it, and Gran comes in and makes a big save as well. So the man up is done, so we are even. So good job by West Islip killing off the only man down situation for either team.
So right there, Dylan, what you see is coming out of the half, West Islip, killed time. Bayport elected to not really pressure the ball with 2 defenders, even though they have an extra guy. Oh, inadvertent turnover looks like maybe right here. Nope.
That comes right back the other way.
But Bayport elected not to pressure the ball, keep the free slide guy in. Great hustle by Constantino.
That was fantastic. So it was Downey first to steal it, and chasing him down the entire way was Constantino. And that's another thing I think certainly college coaches love to see from a guy who again, will score a lot of goals.
Oh, we didn't mention also in that possession was Eric Gron came right in the game, made a save right there, right?
Yeah.
Came out of the goal, got the rebound. You know, Gron is a sophomore, and you want to keep competition alive between a sophomore and a junior. And, you know, Gron in the club circuit plays high-level club lacrosse. He's very good. And, you know, certainly give him a chance here against a quality opponent to see how he does. And keep Nyland and both of them working really hard, and that's what you want as a coach. Is to always have a little competition going when you can.
Well, that competition increases now next year because there's a stud freshman as well at Bayport. So you're going to have 3 guys kind of vying. Again, it's only one guy in the goal at a time. So practices are going to be heated, and that's what you like, too, as a head coach. You want to ramp up that intensity of practice.
Sure, no doubt. Well, they want to keep that going, and right now you have a little goalie competition going, so that's a good thing. They'll make each other better.
And the thing about that, too, that Meehan said, which is great, is that they are both their biggest fans. You know, they recognize the bigger picture of whoever's in cage. You know, it's about wins, about saves. So both Nyland and Gran are big team guys, which, you know, you worry about a little bit, right? As to be frank, there's Constantino, the overhand shot, right into the stick of Gran. So back-to-back saves so far for the sophomore, and there's Smith, who will look to clear.
Actually, Dylan, I don't think that was Constantino. I think that was a guy, a member of the second midfield, number 34 there instead, actually.
I saw the back 4. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and I think what West Islip was doing there was they're trying to obviously, you know, kill a little,
And a quick pass, and there is Smith.
Great look by number 26 right there. Great look to the back pipe by P.J. Shanahan. That's a great look for the goal right there.
So Shanahan's an interesting story because we didn't expect to see him today, 2-6. Here's another look. He's been injured, hasn't played at all this year. And there you see that pass. And I mean, right on the money, right? Or exactly where Smith wanted to have that ball.
A little bit of an alley-oop there kind of a play, right, to the back pipe. And now, you know, West Islip, they had 2 possessions and got 2 looks. 2 saves by Gran so far. The second one, you know, not as maybe not as challenging as the first one, but great face-off win by Schwartz.
And here we go. So, look, we had 5-1 West Islip and Bayport calling a timeout to kind of figure things out. Now they've got a possession here with a chance to tie the game for the first time. Back for a moment to Shanahan, sophomore. Very undersized. You can see it there, 26 by the crease. But he's a guy who's always been in the right place at the right time. He's been battling this back injury that he suffered during the football season. But he would have been, and he certainly will be going forward. He's a big part of that first attacking unit. And again, these are his first minutes of the year. So no stats yet for the sophomore, or except now for that 1 assist, right?
Great look inside to Smith. He just couldn't finish it. Great, nice save there. That's a nice save right there. That's a big play right there. May go unnoticed when the game's over, but it's 5-4. When your goalie's able to make a stop and tight like that, that's a big play in the game right there.
Severino harassed by Lacasio, and we'll go the other way. And there is Constantino now. So your first unit back on for West Islip.
A nice play by Severino right there with a little pressure on him. And we talk about Severino not getting in the scoring column, right? But he's making all the other plays right there. That's a great clearing play.
Yeah, it's a nice swim dodge. That shot was by Riley. But the thing, too, about Severino is you guys might remember, you know, there was this terrible car accident in West Islip, and he was one of those in it. Was actually ejected from the car, had a double skull fracture. So Corcoran kind of thinks of it more in a bigger picture sense, where he said, look, every day that we have him out there, it's just a blessing, and it's great to see him out there. McGoldrick was another guy as well, part of that car accident. Suffered a pretty significant knee injury, and it's kind of impacted his return. So, you know, he's not where he would want to be right now. But again, just to have those 2 guys after a very scary accident. Just to be on the field and competing is special.
Sure, it puts everything in perspective. What's really important in life sometimes, right? And those guys were lucky enough to get through it and be able to get back on the field is a tremendous thing. And McGoldrick, a very good player, going to Fairfield, right, Dylan, and a long, rangy guy with really great skills. Very, very skilled guy. He's got 6 points. I think we showed on the graphic before, so that's pretty good stuff right there.
Ocasio, some good ball movement now by the Phantoms. Whipped across, step down shot. Oh, it's a fantastic save. The rebound is a goal. Great first save, but the rebound fortuitously bounced back out, and you saw the finish, and now we are tied at 5.
They were able to throw that skip through there, Dylan, and they were able to throw it through and get a shot, and a great first save by Basile right there. And the rebound, just unfortunately, you got a good piece of the first one. It's a really good save, and just couldn't corral the rebound. And unlucky for West Islip, and luckily enough for Bayport that they were able to make a play there. But you can see things are turning a little bit, right? And the balls are kind of bouncing to what Bayport's way a little bit as the games roll on here.
That goal was scored by Neil Foley. It's his 16th of the year. Now, the interesting thing about Foley is he's a converted attackman, and he's largely converted to an attackman because of Shanahan's injury. So Foley was usually a midfielder, and Meehan said, look, we are super, super hard on him. And sometimes he thinks, Coach, you don't like me? He's like, no, it's the opposite. We love you, that they just want so much more from him. And it says, it says a lot, too, about a kid where you can go from attack. Your first game is at Mount Sinai, and you do so well. And here's a look at some of the history here from the Phantoms. You see in the finals in 13 and 14 semifinals. So this is a team here you see as well in the last couple of years as well. A team used to some deep runs in the postseason, and we mentioned it before. Certainly would expect about the same, if not a little more, from them this year in the Class C.
Yeah, I coach in Nassau County, Dylan, and I don't get to see the Suffolk guys play as much. And this year, I happened to be here today, happened to be here and see Bayport play for the first time in a few years. And they have some very good players, and they run an exceptional program. As certainly does West Islip, traditionally one of the very best programs in the state of New York, West Islip. And these guys have kind of become a staple of the Big Four of the semifinals in Class C, and they're always kind of in it. And I think they'll certainly be in it this year. Maybe not the depth of talent that maybe Shore Wading River and that Mount Sinai has. Yeah. But they certainly have some good players. I give them a lot of credit. They're playing pretty hard right now, and they've kind of jumbled their lineup a little bit. It kind of looks like Shanahan's in the game. Number 22 Morris appears to be out. Is not going the game. It looks like in a little while. It appears. I'm not sure. And he might be a little banged up, and they have a couple guys in the sidelines also banged up right now. So they're kind of gutting through it a little bit. And with 5-5, we'll see. We'll fresh start, clean slate. Let's start over and play some lacrosse, right, Dylan?
Yeah. So Bayport has held West Islip scoreless in the last 13 minutes, and it's been 4 unanswered goals for the Phantoms, who again had that 5-1 deficit midway through that second quarter, and it's been all Bayport since, and they found a little bit of a way to neutralize Schwartz here using that pole, and this time, though, the ground ball is scooped up right to the cage. Pole goal attempt, and that was high over the net by Della Pizzi.
Yep, good win there. The pole, is kind of mucking it up there a little bit with Schwartz, and Schwartz was able to get a forward exit, and Della Pizzi found the ball, and they really didn't play him, and he stepped in over the top of the net, chance for the pole goal, right, that we always talk about. And West Islip now get to play some offense.
Yeah, this is an important possession, considering, again, West Islip's dominance in that first half. Sidearm shot. Looked like that hit the side of the net, and look at that, no backup. So Corcoran was beat in that race to the loose ball, and it's Bayport Blue Point ball.
Yeah, tough situation for Corcoran there, right? He's trying to be the back pipe guy to see if he's the through look, and he also has to be on that righty shot. He's the end line guy, and he's kind of caught a little bit. Tough situation to be in.
So here comes the clear. It's good. Or were they offside?
and made an offsides call there. Great riding by the West Islip guys. Right now, the riding is a big factor in the game right now. Bayport's had a little trouble getting out, and they got the ball back right there right away. That's a great job with the riding. You can see they put some time into it.
Low shot bounced wide there by Constantino.
Dylan, you can certainly see if the West Islip guys put some time into the riding. They're very good at it, and they're getting the matchups they want out of the clear.
Now you wonder too how much does it take some extra time here by West Islip just to get used to that lefty in the cage, right? And Gran, it's certainly a different look.
It certainly is, and Gran, to his credit, come in cold off the bench. Well, certainly not cold. It's pretty warm here, and three big saves to start the half, right? And directing traffic in there now. Looks like they're in a little more of a man-to-man look here now by Bayport.
And here's our impact guys going at each other. Love it. Behrens, Smith on him. Behrens, step down shot. The overhand bouncer by Behrens is buried, and West Islip back in front, 6-5.
Great shot by Behrens. Kind of doesn't really have Jamison Smith completely beat, but he's able to get his hands free, and that overhand bounce shot against lefty goalies going away from the stick side can be problematic, and he's able to get it over Gran's shoulder. And you just see Behrens' ability, his bounce, his hop, his athleticism. You kind of get a step, he gets his hand free, elevates. Great stuff.
You know what impressed me there? You know why he got that step? That subtle ball fake where Smith has to buy it, and even just that little half a step gives Behrens that opportunity to go to goal. His second of the game, you see his numbers there increasing to 18 goals and 7 assists for the brown-bound Behrens. Off the face-off, Schwartz wins it, loses the ball, ground ball, which was dominated by West Islip in the first half. Good one there by Downey.
Great ground ball by Downey. Run through it full speed, come up with it, curl back.
Now the question is, can they get the clear? It's not been easy. They do get in now, and now Bayport has a chance to tie this game again.
Bayport's been pretty successful in clearing in situations like that where there's been loose balls or saves. They've kind of struggled in the subtle clear of a whistle. When Westside's been able to get into that pretty good riding situation, you get the pole on a pole or get them off sides a few times.
Foley checks back in, the senior who earlier had tied the game off his own rebound. They work it to X. I tell you, Meehan's scout of Shanahan is so accurate. That shot off the side of the net, and there he is. He is absolutely the smallest guy in the turf, but just a gamer for Shanahan. And the funny thing, Meehan said, even like in the winter and stuff, they'd play, and opposing coaches would go up and like, who's this kid? And then he says, don't worry about it. You'll find out about him soon enough. And all of a sudden, he's got like 4 goals, 2 assists.
Yeah, it's obviously a heavy IQ for the game and understanding of where to be. And guys who are little, people say they're little, but they've been little his whole life probably. You know how to play when he's little. And that's kind of a misnomer sometimes. And
he's been hampered, and the back injuries especially are tough because he'll practice and he'll feel fine, and then he'll go home and it tightens up, and all of a sudden he's shelved. So Meehan said, look, our first job is obviously as educators, and you take care of the kids. So they just sidelined him, and they said, look, just, once you feel better, once you get a few days of feeling better together, you can come back out here. And the hope, Meehan said, was to have him back by the end of the year. And obviously feeling better here today and able to step on the field for the first time this year.
Trying to set that high pick there. West Islip looks like they're still in zone, and they're setting that high pick there, trying to roll off and either get the throw back or throw forward. One thing that's given Bayport a little difficulty is the length of the West Islip defenders. They have some pretty big guys with long lefties and righties with long reaches, and you can see it throwing around and over the sticks. It's kind of slowed down the pace of the offense a little bit.
Yeah, Foley a moment ago was, I guess he's back to being inverted. Just kind of a rotation, and look at that shot. Lacasio, the finish. His third on the day, and we are tied at 6.
Looks like they kind of were moving the ball on the perimeter there, taking looks, and Lacasio finds a little bit of a soft spot in there, right? Kind of sits in. They kind of flash a guy down and then flash a guy up, right? So number 3 kind of goes downhill a little bit, and number 2, Lacasio comes in behind it and is able to find the opening and get his hands free and score.
So Lacasio's third goal, the assist to Smith, his second, and we are tied for the second time here in this third quarter. We were tied at 5, where Bayport Blue Point had scored 4 unanswered, and we are tied again at 6. Schwartz with the face-off win. Now here come the Lions.
Good heady play by Schwartz. He's been trying to go a little bit of a forward exit, Dylan, getting out to front, and that the Pole's done a good job of jamming it up his forward exit. That time he turned and went out the back to himself, which was a nice play.
So the chess match now continues, where it's Corcoran behind the cage. It's the second midfield line back on, so that's Sonati, 37. Was another one of those guys who was a Fogo, but kind of worked himself into being a regular player on this second line. Corcoran said he's been pleasantly surprised by the job the junior Sonati has done. And when he gets to X, we haven't seen him there because Schwartz has done such a great job, but nice change-up as well from the X when Sonati is battling for those face-offs.
Sure, second group kind of giving the first a bit of a rest right now on the really warm day here today, humid and warm here at West Islip, and they're trying to spin the ball and just get the game in a good pace and maybe sub the first back in. I'm not really sure, but looks like right now they're playing a little more of a man concept. Bayport.
Corcoran switches it, step down shot. Oh, what a great save by Gran! It's loose in his crease, and he picks it back up. The shot was by Riley, and Gran has come up big in that third quarter. Fourth save for him, and we head to the fourth quarter, tied at 6. You're watching this Suffolk Division II showdown on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Are you settling for a boring live stream? Can't see the players' uniforms? No audio? Camera not following the action? Consider a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Our announcers help tell the story of your game.
Goes McCarthy. He's got. He's in. Touchdown, Farmingdale.
We feature multiple camera angles, guaranteed to capture all the action.
Touchdown, Oceanside.
Plus added features like graphics, instant replay.
Yeah, the shooters are going to shoot here at Bethpage, and one of many threes on the day.
Interviews, and more. It's your time to shine. And with Varsity Media, now you can. Contact us today and book a live stream broadcast with Varsity Media. Online at varsitymedia.net or by phone 516-403-2050.
We welcome you back to West Islip High School. Dylan Butler, Mike Hungerford here, and we head to the fourth quarter, tied at 6. We saw a terrific performance in the third quarter by Eric Grom, the sophomore, with 4 saves. The last of his saves, though, seemed to shake him up a little bit, and we're unsure if we're going to see him here now for the fourth quarter. So we might be going back to Nyland.
Yeah, they put Nyland in the game a couple of shots. He looked like he was a little banged up. Gron of that last save was a great skip by Corcoran through to Riley for the shot at the end of the quarter, and he just couldn't finish it. Gron happened to be in the right place at the right time, and we'll see if he goes back in. But pretty stellar third quarter. Might have been kind of a difference right there. Made a few, and nothing against Nyland right now. Nyland might have made those too, but he was the guy in the cage. He made them, and kind of stayed the ship a little bit, especially early in the quarter, made a couple. And now all of a sudden we got 6-6.
Yeah, and the shots, when you start making those saves, it becomes a difference. Shots are tilted pretty heavily in West Islip's favor, 20-12. The face-offs, though, have come back around a little bit. It's now 8-6, so not that heavy edge early on that we saw from Schwartz, from C.J. Schwartz.
Yeah, Schwartz had dominated early. They kind of went with the pole to kind of shake things up a little bit. Kind of a good move for the Bayport guys, looks like. But Schwartz, the last couple faceoffs, kind of figured out his exit and how to get out of there with the ball. And that's a key part of facing off is, how are you going to against certain defenders, certain people at the X, how are you going to get out with the ball, right? What's going to be your exit? And against the pole, going behind you is probably the best way to go if you can't get out clean forward. And we'll see what he comes up with here.
Turnovers, Bayport, and maybe it speaks to that ride a little bit. 7-3, Bayport with more turnovers than West Islip. So back to the face-off X we go.
Changing up a little bit, Bayport here, going Aiello, back to Aiello. It looks like in there against it, and the pole's on the wing.
Scoops backwards. Schwartz, and it's Constantino with the ground ball. Loses it for a second. Schwartz gets it right back. Weaves through some traffic.
Nice play by Schwartz.
Really good one. And the extra pass. Pole goal, no! Loose ball. That was Della Pizzi. And here comes Aiello. Oh, I thought he'd shoot it there for a second. He had some space, and he's got that blistering shot. Here's Smith. What a save! Smith goes down. I didn't see a flag. It's an interference call.
And then action right there, Dylan. We got a chance for a pole goal at one end. And off the rebound, Aiello comes down. I thought he was going to maybe shoot it, but I think he was a little gassed. And they find Smith on the cut. He's a trailer, right? He's the 5-on-4 trailer. And a nice save right there. West Islip with a great save, right there. Huge change of events right there. Basili making a save could have easily given it the lead to Bayport. Bayport has never led here. They've been behind the whole time or tied.
So you saw at the very end of that replay, Mike, how Smith got kind of barged over from behind. That was the interference call, but it's not one where it's a numerical advantage. So we're still 6-on-6, just the possession stays with Bayport Blue Point.
Yeah, the officials decided not to throw a flag there and gave the ball back to the Bayport Blue Point, and they have to play some offense here with the score tied.
There's a Foley again up top. There's Lacasio. He's got the hot hand with 3 goals. There he is, number 2, the workhorse of the team. Coming into the... There's a shot wide by Foley. Lacasio, stats really, they're not overly impressive, but when you talk on the other side of the ball, the work that you have to do defensively, Meehan says he's one of the best short-stick D middies around.
He's a very good-looking athlete, and obviously high lacrosse IQ, understands the game, and it looks like now that, the Bayport guys have settled into a little bit of a 1-4-1 set with 2 inside, and they've kind of found that high crease guy open a little bit on the lead trail kind of a play. Loose ball here.
Yeah, racing was Lacasio and on cue, right? We talked about his
there
work.
There he is. Johnny
as
on the spot.
D midi. Well, you can see him there chasing down that ground ball. It's 2-on-2, meaning Baccardy is on Lacasio, and it's kicked back out. And Smith, you can see there too, just motioning, let's pull it back out and restart. Here he comes. Smith hands off. Kind of off ball movement now.
Kind of a little 3-man lefty wheel going with a 3-man righty side with the righty lefty and trying to look for a throwback or a cut down. See, now, Dylan, in most situations, if it was man-to-man defense, maybe they would consider a stall, go for the officials, right? No shot clock in high school lacrosse and Federation rules. But instead, because they're playing zone, it's giving them a little chance to manipulate a little bit and work a little bit harder at trying to find the open man.
I haven't had a chance this year to get on my soapbox about that one, Mike, but I kind of feel like it's time, right? We have to get that shot clock here.
Funny you say that, Dylan. Last night I was home, and I happened to put on YouTube. There was the MIAA championship last night with Spalding, surprise finalist against Boys Latin. Boys Latin won the game, but in Maryland they play in the private schools. They play college rules, and it was very, very a lot of fun to watch. There's the stall.
Yeah, now it's on.
But they play college rules, and it was fun to see 2 high school teams, have to play the rules that college does, and maybe we start that hashtag, change the rules, right? There we go, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, what a look! To the cage was Lacasio. And there is that first lead of the game for the Phantoms.
It kind of nothing else, maybe lulled the West Islip defense into a little sense of false security a little bit and found the inside man cutting after circular. The officials put the stall on, and they were able to find the Lacasio inside for the goal.
What a cut, too, in Lacasio. You see there 3 West Islip defenders all around him. Still found a way to bury it. First lead of the game for Bayport, for Lacasio, his 4th goal of the year. So a guy who comes in with 13 goals in the year, give him 17 now.
Yep, a couple today, and right, 2 goals today, Dylan. You said 4. I'm sorry. Whoa, I'm sorry. 4. I'm lucky you look at the face-off because I'm listening to you. And you see they went back to the pole now, Bayport. There's a hold right there. Will be a hold called, it looks like, on Bayport.
Oh, look at this. So you were right. The hold was against Bayport, right? But a little extracurricular by Della Pizzi, and this will be an interesting call. Here's another look at it, Mike, as we check out.
Unfortunate turn of events there for West Islip. It's a play-on situation, right? So the ball plays out. It's a held whistle right there, and it plays out because if West Islip would have picked it up and maybe gain an advantage, they're getting the ball either way. But as the ball plays into the box, it looks like Della Pizzi was a little aggressive with his play, and the officials thought that was egregious, and threw a flag. It's just a rough turn of events. I'm sure Coach Corcoran is not very pleased with the call. And because that delayed whistle, right? That play on whistle that kind of created. If they had blown the whistle, there'd be no foul, right? So it's a 50-50 right there. And of course, the Bayport guys are Bayport Coach Meehan's probably a little happy worked out that way. So 6-1, half dozen to the other, one favors one over the other.
And this is
first man up, I think, for Bayport, right?
Well, they're second. You remember they were man up late in that first half, where we weren't sure, right? Would you elect to hold? Lacasio at the crease, bounces, and they went for the goal, and they did score the goal with the delayed penalty. But then West Islip ended up winning the ball, so they didn't really have much of an opportunity in the attacking end of the field for their man up. Now they do, though. That's
correct, though, and I had forgotten because they never really got to play man up. And I tell you, Jamison Smith has eyes in the back of his head. He finds guys, boy.
Shanahan, the pass, and here is Smith. Wheels from behind the cage, throws it in front of the crease. It's a loose ball. It's still loose. A rugby scrum. It's kicked ahead. And that's Aiello. You could hear the time winding down, so man up is over, and that shot by Smith. I think that was a bit of a kick save as well by Basili.
That was a great save by Basili right there. Right now West Islip's down by a goal, 7 minutes left, and Bayport Blue Point's man up and gets 3 shots, and he makes a couple saves in that situation. Big job by Basili in there, standing tall, keeping it to a 1-goal game for West I.
So Bayport Blue Point 0 for 2 with the man up. No opportunities yet for the Lions, which I suspect is something. You're part of that fraternity, something that I think Corcoran might remind the officials at some point.
Sure, no doubt. You kind of chirp in the rear a little bit. Not maybe they're listening, maybe they're not. But hey, when are we going to get one of those?
Yeah, especially after that last one, right?
You'd like to think that. Yep.
So there is Aiello at the top. Back to Smith. He's been impressive. And again, when you look at his numbers, you mentioned his vision, and that's what I think stands out more to me. He's got 12 goals, which is great, but he's got 21 assists coming into this game.
Yes, he's got great control of the game, and great games being played pretty slow for him in his mind. You can tell as he's playing, right? He's one of those guys who it's happening fast for a lot of people and not happening very fast for him, it looks like.
There's Lacasio, hot hand in terms of scoring today. 4 for him, 1 each for Foley, Smith, and Aiello.
Kind of be interesting when they're here we have, right, with no shot clock deal in the situation of when did the officials decide that that Bayport Blue Point is stalling, and they've had the ball for probably well over a minute now since the man up ended and haven't really done much with it, and I think probably Coach Corcoran's looking for that stall call.
Well, the fans are always the first to call for it, and now we will see the stall warning on.
So right now Bayport's got to keep it in the box.
Oh, that's a tough pass into the teeth of the D. Kick back out. Sidearm shot in the goal. Lacasio again, his 5th. And Bayport Blue Point extends their lead to 2.
They threw that ball inside, and somehow he was able to escape with it and get it out to Ocasio, who stings a corner right there. And that was a great job by Bayport. I think it was number 15, right, in there. Comes out with it, escapes, doesn't lose the ball. Nice soft pass by Krug outside, and he didn't have a great ability to turn and shoot there, but was able to pass it out under pressure. And Lacasio stings it.
Here's our upcoming schedule for you, and you can see all kinds of big-time high school lacrosse coming up in the coming days. We head back to Nassau County, a big one, a good defensive battle I think we'll see in Cary against Garden City, 2 teams that you've certainly seen this year as well. Locust Valley, Cold Spring Harbor, we have that. We've got a triple header. Well, not triple header, but we've got 3 games on the slate on Wednesday. You can see as well Port Washington. That's an early one. That's on the 29th. That's a 10 a.m. special. That's a
Memorial Day weekend Saturday special. Correct, right? That's Memorial Day weekend. And this year, Memorial Day. By the time Memorial Day weekend rolls around, we're all kind of in either there's playoffs going on, or county finals, but this year, we started later in the year with the issues of the pandemic that we seem to be coming and making great progress with now, and everything is pushed back. So Memorial Day weekend, no Final Four trip this weekend, even though we're in Connecticut. It's up in Connecticut, very close, but staying home and playing some really good local high school lacrosse instead. That's
been always kind of the funny mantra among you coaches. It's like, if you're playing on Memorial Day, you are having a great year. Because if you're in college, it means you're part of the championship weekend, and if you're in high school, it means that you're kind of surviving and advancing in the postseason as well.
Sure, Dylan. If you're able to go to the Final Four, you're not knocked out. If you can't go, maybe that means you're still in.
We talked about the tradition here at West Islip, especially under Scotty Craig, and look at these numbers. Absolutely ridiculous. 5 state championships. You see the Long Island championships, the Suffolk titles as well. The players, there were how many Golossos came through here, right? I mean, there were so many, and Nikki a big part of that. Kyle Turry as well was a player of the year, and
you have a Turry family, very big in West Islip lacrosse with the father as the assistant coach, Bill, for a very, very long time. Tremendous defensive coach, and Nicky Galasso, schoolboy legend, one of the very best high school players in Long Island history.
The great Scotty Craig. Great to see him on the sideline.
Sure, taking it all in. Back from Florida, Scotty comes back up. Snowbird action, comes back for the good weather, and he's taking it all in right now. And West Islip, one of those great high school programs in the United States, produced so many tremendous players. The Turry family, the Galasso family, so many others. Along the way, have been great players here at West Islip, and all those state championships, and they just continue to win games.
It's been interesting too, right? In Suffolk Big Boy lacrosse and Suffolk A, and again, it should be said here, West Islip, just an enrollment situation. They're in B this year, but for how many years, right? It was like they were the team, and not only in Suffolk County, but really in the country. And then you kind of switch it, and then it was Ward Melville, right? Like the two of them kind of played catch a little bit with that notoriety as the best team out here. And you had some contenders on the way, right? You had Northport, you had the Smithtowns had their runs as well, but in the A, until they're knocked off, it's Ward Melville still as defending champion, and West Islip has a chance this year to get back, add another one to Titletown, and maybe get a B championship. Look at that crease dodge, and certainly was in the crease, right? Or did he get pushed in? No. So there's the call. Behrens made his way into the crease, and look, it's the same in college, right? You are not allowed in that little semicircle, so
right there, Behrens got underneath, and I know Coach Cork was looking for the push call and didn't get it, and it's one of those 50-50s. I kind of agree with him. I thought it could have been a push. There's the ride right there, Della Pizzi coming up with the ground. The great riding by West Islip. He's going to shoot it.
Pole goal, no! A denial. Back we go the other way. It's opening up a little bit here in the fourth quarter. Smith with the big ground ball. And Meehan running with him on the sideline. He doesn't have a stick in his hand, but I think maybe he wants one.
A lot of tired players on the field right now. Really warm day here in the high 80s with a little humidity. Bayport with a short lineup, and Gron comes up huge against Della Pizzi with the pole, going for that pole goal again, Dylan.
Love this matchup, too, because this is one that we thought we'd see from the beginning. It's Della Pizzi, 42, against Smith. And now we're in man for West Islip. We saw a lot of zone this game, but you expect here in the final 3 and change, we're going to see man most likely the rest of the way.
Well, West Islip guys get everybody locked off. They're trying to lock everybody, and they're trying to take the ball away here, and they're exerting tremendous pressure on the Bayport
and
guys.
Here goes Basili as well.
Yep, goalie's out, trying to get back in. They're trying to release that double team. I mean, they didn't get the double on the ball, but to the Bayport guys' credit, they're doing a great job stalling right now of manipulating the ball. I don't know if you want to call it stalling, but they're certainly not going to go to the cage unless they have to.
There's Aiello. And here is the stall, so they got to stay in. Deflected. That's a heads-up play, too, right? Where it's a deflected ball. Instead of battling for that ground ball that deep, the attacking player for, I think it was Shanahan, just kind of let that one bounce out. So Aiello gets the double.
The goalie's out. They got the double team on now, and Meehan will use one of his timeouts.
So you can see the time here, 2:38 left in this fourth quarter. It's been a great rally by Bayport where we spoke to their head coach, Doug Meehan. He said, look, you know, when I asked him about the kind of season outlook, how are you looking right now? He said, when we're focused and we're all in and playing the way we should be, he was blunt. He said, look, I think we can compete with anybody on Long Island. He said it showed in Mount Sinai, that loss, a tight loss. Again, you kind of look at the final score and it got away from them in the second half, but they were missing several key players in that game was Bayport Blue Point. He says we're starting to almost get fully healthy. I guess when West Hampton, the game just before this one, he said we competed as hard as I've seen us compete. He loved what he saw in the middle of the field especially. Defense doing an excellent job following the game plans with a lot of young and inexperienced guys back there. So think about it from a Bayport perspective, right? You come off an emotional rivalry win in overtime against Sayville, and then you go out to West Hampton, never an easy trip. You win that game as well, and now you face more adversity in this one as well, and you bounce back, you take a lead. For West Islip, conversely, look, the challenge was laid out to them by Corcoran in the practice that we can't allow the Mount Sinai loss to carry over and have it go back-to-back losses. We've got to nip that in the bud. They did a great job after the Shoreham loss, a 1-goal defeat there, where they were able to reel off a few wins from there. But, you know, when the games are thick and fast, you know, you can't afford to have really a losing streak because it could then extend to further games. So that's one of the reasons why Corcoran slated this one as a huge game. You know, and look, he admitted, in that Mount Sinai game, again, he realized the weather was going to be what it was. They don't have a deep bench, West Islip, so he said, look, probably figured we'd lose to Mount Sinai anyway. They could have done a few things maybe to exert some energy and deal with Spallina and try to win that one, but his focus is more on this game. That being said, you know, you put your focus on this one after that one, and now you're down as well by a couple goals, and you've got to get a stop.
Sure, Dylan. And you look at the situation here, the ball starts outside the box. So Bayport Blue Point's going to have 10 seconds, James Smith, to get it in the box with a double team. And they get the ball on the floor right away.
Yeah,
great
loses
job
it.
With the double team.
22 is McGoldrick.
Yep. So they had 10 seconds to get it in. They weren't able to get it in. They got it in and they lost it. And now here comes West Islip with a chance.
And they're great in transition as well, are the Lions. Still a lot of time, right? You don't necessarily need something like right away.
They got 2 minutes to play with, and I believe West Islip has both their timeouts. And, try to manipulate here, and you don't want to use one if you don't have to right away. And now Bayport's playing man.
There's Behrens, lowers the shoulder, swim dodge. Behrens to the cage, another big save! And a flag came right at the end.
That was a great dodge by Behrens. He just went downhill as hard as you could go, got his hands free. Gron, that's his 7th save of the half. Great job getting low on that off shot. You shot the ball in a great spot. Grunt comes downhill. You see Behrens against the short stick, though, just gets downhill. They try to slide, and he's able to swim the slide to the inside. Such an athletic move, Behrens. That was so smooth.
So West Islip, you see the call right there, a 30-second push. So they're lone man up to this point. It won't be a long one. So they'll have this opportunity here to pull within a goal, and the way Schwartz has been at the faceoff X as well, you kind of like your chances if you can get this one here.
Right now, if you're West Islip, you don't want to take your first shot. Take the best shot. You have time. You have the better faceoff matchup. Run your play here. Get the shot you're looking for. Seal and slip. There's Behrens.
Oh, just wide. Brophy the backup.
And a little seal and slip play there off the ball movement. And they got Behrens for a look. Just couldn't put it on cage. May run it again.
Here's Riley. Plays catch with Brophy.
Yep.
Brophy slings it far side. Corcoran. Cross crease. Good catch by Brophy. That would have been a really costly turnover. We're even now. Constantino swivels, and here's Behrens again. Now he's got the long pole on him. Double comes. Great look in front, and Constantino. I'm not sure if the pole affected that shot, but he turned and fired over the net.
It looks like Casales, the defenseman, got a little bit on his hands. He shot it with a great look inside.
Well, time becoming a factor now. There's a shot blocked in front. What a big ground ball this will be. Scooped up really well, cleanly by who else? Lacasio. And Lacasio under harassment now by Constantino. Stall warning is on. 46 seconds left.
Got to keep it in. They got to get the goalie out if you West Islip and try to create a double team.
And Basili is out.
A lot of tired people on the field right now for both teams. Of course, the team with the ball is always a little less tired.
Shanahan.
Trying to get it behind the cage, but man uses his last time out. You know, Dylan, the situation there is right. You don't want to lose the ball closer to your own goal if you can help it. So they potted up top. I think Coach Meehan was a little worried about losing it. Calls timeout, and now the ball is going to be above the goal line. So in the double team situation, by calling timeout above the goal line, you leave yourself the opportunity if the goal's empty, but you might be able to shoot it.
Interesting too by Meehan. He said, look, he has a new philosophy this year that they're instituting. In previous years, you kind of have a bigger roster, a lot of like 8th and 9th graders. But he said, look, in the way this year is set up, there's not a lot of practice time, right? So you can't really accurately kind of prepare a second unit as well as your first unit because you're so just concerned about that first unit. So he said this year he was only bringing up guys who were going to play meaningful minutes, not sit on the sideline. So you see the Bayport roster, it's a lot smaller than in previous years. It's been the smallest that he's had, certainly in his time there. He's allowing those JV guys, as you see the upcoming schedule for West Islip, he's allowing those JV guys or those younger guys to go and get all their minutes, get the reps on the JV that they wouldn't get here. Now, you know, it might affect you here in the heat of the coming into the summer, late spring. He does have a taxi squad though, so for some of those games where they don't have like South Fork, they don't have a JV program, so he brings those guys up. He gives his regulars a rest, but that's a different look from their team. Again, it's a team that is used to having a much bigger squad.
I think, good coaching move by Coach Meehan there, doing the way he's doing it, and you want to get guys, just short season right here, all of a sudden next year, it's going to be summertime, and summer ball is going to come, and get those guys reps in games is more important maybe than just having them in practice. And, right now, I don't think they're missing those guys. They're playing the guys you have, and you're gutting it out. You're gutting through it. A warm day by both teams. And so Coach Corcoran has opted. He's put the goalie, Dylan, on attack. So he has to be on the field. So now one of the three attackers is the goalie. The goalie stick has to be on the field. And now they have an extra defender who's not a goalie, but the net will be open the entire time. So everyone's locked, and the ball is doubled. Good coaching move here.
All right, let's see if that results in a turnover.
Ran out of bounds.
Yeah, stepping out.
Yep.
So now Basili's got to be careful not to be
Get it
offside.
back.
He did
Get it
get back
on.
now.
Yep.
And here come the Lions, and they will talk things over. So that coaching move, you said, certainly paid dividends. 9 seconds left here in the fourth quarter. So still time, but obviously that first look, best look, now it's got to be that first look with 9 seconds. Let's see what Corcoran here has dialed up.
Yeah, you might come out with something where you throw a ball in front of the goal for a quick layup, and then you get a face-off. Maybe Schwartz can pinch and pop it and get a shot before the end. 2 goals situation here is a little tough for West Islip to be down. But they had a great chance with the man up, and they just couldn't convert, unfortunately.
We mentioned before, right, the kind of balance of power here in Division II. So it's Mount Sinai. Comstock's right behind them, but I can kind of give that nod a little bit here to Shoreham Wading River above Constabog. So it's Mount Sinai kind of head and shoulders a little bit. Again, 7-0, right? You've got Spalina, best junior in the country, and a great supporting cast as well. Shoreham's right behind them, and then it's kind of Comstock, Bayport, Harborfields, West Islip, and then a little bit of a jump down to Hauppauge and East Islip. But this is the reason why Corcoran said this is a critical game, he said, for his team to stay in that mix, right? He figures he's right in that mix with Bayport and Harborfield is kind of battling for positioning.
Yeah, and some of those teams, obviously, there are C schools, there's B schools involved, so when the playoffs come, they're going to separate. But you want to have momentum. You want to be playing well towards the end of the year if you can, and you want to get to those games at the end against Harborfields and Comstock, but it'll really be really important. But certainly, this is one of the better leagues you're going to find in public school lacrosse anywhere in the United States. But, the Suffolk BCD combo is a lot of good programs all mixed together playing each other.
I've always thought, and no offense to you guys out in Nassau, but that Suffolk A was just murderer's row each week. There's that short bouncer, and it's a goal! How about this one now, huh? Corcoran with the goal. It's a 1-goal deficit with 4 seconds left.
Well, here you go, right? They come out of a timeout, and they throw it to Tommy Corcoran. He just steps in and shoots a great low shot between Grant's legs, and it goes in. A very strange reaction there by the Bayport guy. I don't know if they were not ready or what, but a great shot by Corcoran, and you couldn't have drawn it up for West Islip any better. Gives him a chance. So
now the way Schwartz generally face offs, right? He's a pitch and pop and push it forward guy. You see the pole on him again, right? So look, if you can keep him at bay for a few seconds, you're winning this game. It's 4 seconds. Let's see what we have off this face-off. Again, you have the pole. Schwartz wins it, mucks it up a little bit. Constantino will not get to the loose ball, and Bayport blue point. Down 5-1 in the second quarter. They rally for an 8-7 win.
Yeah, tough job for Schwartz at the end trying to get that one forward. It's really hard to pitch and pop against the pole. It's got some ability right there, and really good lacrosse game. And, early on, I thought it was going to be all West Islip, and the Bayport guys rallied and calmed themselves down and got back in the fight, and it turned out to be a great Suffolk County Conference 2 game.
I mean, you talk about Bayport Blue Point again. This sort of this stretch of games for them, right, where Sayville, maybe on paper you say wasn't an as strong team, maybe as the teams you're facing ahead of them. But look, that's a rivalry game, right? You know those games can go either way. You kind of throw the records out. You go there and you win in overtime. Then you go out to West Hampton. You win there as well, 11-8. This is a 3-game road trip now, and you rally from a 5-1 deficit and you get the win. So for Doug Meehan, he's got to feel great right now just for his ability to win these 3 straight games all away from home.
Yeah, I think these are the kind of games where everyone's, they're all going to be close, right? They're all going to be close games, and they're all going to be, games where anybody could win. They're all 50-50 kind of games, and they're well played, and they battle it out. And for Bayport to get the win, it's really good, and kind of a grinding kind of a game, right, by both teams. And, they happen to convert a few more opportunities. I think it came down to converting opportunities, right? I think at the end of the day, Bayport converted a few more opportunities than West Islip did as the game wore on, and certainly Eric Ron had a pretty good second half in the goal for Bayport, big part of that surge.
Yeah, I mean, I think you, as we look at our broadcast schedule coming up, and again, some terrific games back in Nassau County, starting with that Cary Garden City game and a team named Farmingdale on that schedule as well against Syosset, perhaps. I'm not asking you, don't worry. Perhaps a county championship preview there in Nassau A, and Locust Valley, Cold Spring Harbor, a rivalry game as well. And listen, Port Washington has opened eyes. They take on the Seahawks as well. That's a 10 a.m. opening face-off there next Saturday. So some great lacrosse ahead. But what I was going to say here about Bayport, what impressed me was this. You're down 5-1. You've got a great mentality where they didn't rush. They weren't nervous. They didn't let that deficit get to them. They did multiple ways. You affect the face-off X, right? You bring the pole in. You've got Gron coming in as a lefty, doing a great job there. And you've got guys in the attack, specifically Smith and Lacasio, who are veteran guys who kind of have been through these wars, so they weren't affected by that early deficit.
Yeah, I think it's, at 5-1, you didn't know which way the game was going to turn all of a sudden, right? And I don't think West Islip stopped playing, but I think the Bayport guys kept playing, and found a way to chip away. And the goal they scored right before the half on the flag down situation was a huge goal, maybe a little momentum turner for them, and they weathered the situation after halftime and just kept chipping away, and they found a way to get a good win.
So we saw two great teams out here at West Islip, and we had a great team to bring you the game as well. For Dan Lippenholtz, Ron Pierre on the cameras, Seaford's mayor, Nick Louisi, Ben Turchin, as well as the coach right here, Mike Hungerford. I'm Dylan Butler, thanking you for joining us, and we welcome you to join us on our next broadcast coming up soon. Have a good day, everyone.